I love this stuff. Welcome to the Intensity Podcast. I'm your host, Hans the Hammer Hartleben. And today I am honored, absolutely honored and excited to have Derek Toshner on the set. And now, Derek, I'm going to give you a little bit of intro here, okay? It might take a while. But I want to bring the audience up to speed. We have listeners all over the world. It's getting kind of cool. It's so interesting to me, this stuff. Now, Derek is somebody that the more I follow, the more I get to know, the more impressed and intrigued I am. And I have become very interested in what he is doing. I've known Derek for 20 plus years, and it started that there's this really strong guy in Fond du Lac. And that's really how this started. This freaky strength. And you know, if you're thinking like power lifter strong, yes, but functional rock climber type of strong here. We're talking like, you know, we're not talking about bench press strong. We're talking about functional. And in fact, I just saw a video he put out yesterday. He grabs a pull-up bar, and guys, try it. He grabs a pull-up bar with one hand, one arm, and pulls himself up. Not even with that other arm assisting, I don't think. He just pulled himself up, you know? And if you've ever tried to just hang from a bar with one arm, you are going to be completely humbled. 99.9% of America. Try it, guys. And I dare you, if you see a bar, I don't care where it is, jump up and hang from it, or try, okay? Derek, what hasn't Derek Toshner done? Runs a company called Adventure Fit, holds all-terrain courses throughout the United States, is a Strong First certified master instructor, was a trainer in the Nike network. And if I bought some of this stuff, feel free to correct me. Now, this is one that I summited 10 mountains in 2022.
Yeah, that's right.
This is okay. The internet wasn't wrong.
No.
Like, wait a minute, I'm trying to do the math. I knew you very well in 2022. Summited 10 mountains.
Mm-hmm.
That's to the top, guys. And with all of his accomplishments, hang in there, with all of these accomplishments, and I'm not even scratching the surface, his ultimate goal is to live in a van down by the river.
I just sold my house.
I just absolutely, that sparked something with me. Yes, it was funny, but I think about it maybe more than the average person does, because I'm like, the more you go on with life and the more you maybe obtain tangible material items, but the more you sink your teeth into life and accomplishments, I think the less you want. And I was really struck by that. But Derek is always a guy that's always willing to help you. And they don't make them like that anymore. For a really relatively young guy.
Well, you're like that too.
I think I am. I think I am, but I don't come off. But here's the thing with me.
You guys, you helped me one time for sure.
I don't come off like that because of my personality. So that's something that a lot of people don't know, that I love animals and I love helping people. But thanks for mentioning that. Can you bring us up to speed on what you just have going? This is what we didn't talk before this. We shot a couple messages back and forth on Facebook. I know it was annoying. But I truly want to just organically find out what you have going on, and we're just going to dive into it.
Yeah, I felt like I could have jumped in like 100 times just during the intro. Like, I shot the one-arm pull-up because I was telling my daughter, I'm like, I'm going to be on the Intensity podcast tomorrow. And so I want to throw something up on social media quick. I'm not too much of a social media guy anymore these days. I just am not. I don't know. I like to just go live it, and, I like to see what other people are up to. That's great. But yeah, I used to be on to promote my business and things, and now I'm barely on to do that. But I'm like, I'm going to be on this Intensity podcast. I better throw something cool up, right? Just in case people.
Oh, it's cool.
It's cool. Let's
Derek
try
Toshner,
a one-arm pull-up.
Go check him out. Well, it's just, and you just did that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a goal of mine for a long time. I've been training. I'm over 200 pounds. So like you see people doing like
There's
one
a
arm
lot of
chins, but
muscle.
they're like
There was a lot of muscle there.
yeah, they're like 150-pound dudes. I'm like, I mean, it's impressive, but like
Well, and how
throw a
tall are you,
50-pound
Derek?
weighted vest on it.
Yeah, just so the audience knows, you're a tall, fit, muscular guy.
Yeah, I'm 6'2". Yep,
6'2".
6'2". Yep.
Man.
So yeah, but been interested in fitness my whole life. Job shadowed a personal trainer when I was 12. Right, we had like a career exploration class in 7th grade, and I'm like, I'm going to go job shadow a personal trainer because that's what I want to be someday.
Mm-hmm.
It's inside of me, right?
Yeah.
There's so many things that we can get into life, right? Like you live long enough, and you could talk about a million things, right? And like I have an achiever personality. I like to like set goals and accomplish things. And so, through that, you just, you do a lot of fun stuff. And to me, I'm always trying to push myself to new limits. Like you're a coach, you're a trainer. Like it's like it's hard to be a coach when you don't have goals yourself, right? Like I'm going to coach you to help you achieve your goals, and then I don't have any goals, right? So, I'm always pushing and striving to do new things. But we could talk about a million things. But
well, since I want to jump in. Since you tapped into your younger childhood.
Yeah.
There's something that I learned that I saw a quote from you, and there's plenty online. Even you're in the CrossFit article, CrossFit Games, which was cool, 2012 or 2011. But you said something, and that even kind of cracked me up. But you wanted to be a wrestler, and you wrestled, and then all of a sudden you grew like 6 inches, and then you realized, hey, I was really good at track. I don't know why that was so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wrestling was just the best sport, right? It's the toughest. It's one-on-one, mano-y-mano, and like you can try your hardest and lose in overtime, and then 30 minutes later you got to get back on the mat for another match. Like get over it. You just lost. Like, I know you tried your hardest and lost. Like gave it everything you got. You lose by a point or two, and then like, okay, get over it. Next match. And it's just so physical and just teaches you so much about yourself. And there's no one out there to like rely on, and if you lose, it's your fault.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's so good to teach a lot about life lessons. I just think it's the toughest sport. I always tell people when I started running track, I became a wimp. College track is like, okay, today, guys, we're going to spend an hour warming up. Like, what? We're going to hour warm up? Are you kidding me? So you warm up for an hour, and then like, okay, we're going to run a 450-meter run, and we're going to take a 15-minute break, and then we're going to do that again. It's like, okay, now go do some power drills. Like I had basically no endurance. I was just a total power athlete completely when I ran track. And
well, I was running laps at the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point and saw your name up on the wall in gold. I mean,
oh yeah, I think I have a record there still. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've set some records, right? Yeah, some records still. UW lacrosse and whitewater.
Lots of records in lacrosse, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, when you're a D3 athlete, like not too many D3 athletes qualify for Olympic trials, right? So, I ran at the U.S. World Team Trials in 03 and 05, Olympic trials in 04. And so, was able to take track to a pretty high level. But I had a great teammate. Actually, he's up from kind of your area. I think Stratford, Wisconsin, not too far, kind of middle of the state, Wisconsin. Stratford, Andrew Rock took second in the world in the 400-meter dash, right?
Wow.
And he is an Olympic gold medalist on the 4x4 in 2004 in Athens, and then in 05 he was world champ 4x4, second in the world in the 400, and then he was U.S. national champion in 06. He was my roommate and my teammate, and so it's like, I was pretty good in high school, but then you go to a college and that's your roommate. And then you have this coach that won 20 national championships. It's like, it's hard not to be good, right? Like every day you show up to the track to either get better or get cut, and so like you better get better. So,
was that just by rare occurrence that you got roomed with him? Was that in the dorms?
Dude, it was like, oh my God, it was like just this stroke of, I don't know, all the stars aligned. Like my freshman recruiting class was Andrew Rock. He wanted to go to a small school. He had a free ride anywhere in the world, in the country. He took in high school. He took second in the state by himself, second in the state as a team by himself. He won 4 events at state. like long jump, 110 hurdles, 300 hurdles, and 200-meter dash. Four event state champion. So he could have went anywhere in the country for free, but he wanted to go small schools. He goes to lacrosse. Gatorade Athlete of the Year, Jim Nelson, is like hometown hero and doesn't want to go anywhere. He wants to stay in lacrosse and be the hometown hero. So he goes to lacrosse. Hans Schmidt ended up being an 18-foot 2-inch pole vaulter. He went down to Texas. I think it was like the Longhorns. For some reason, the coach didn't show up for his like college walkthrough. He's like, I'm being recruited to pole vault here, and the coach doesn't even show up to say hello. I'm not going here. So he goes to lacrosse. I go to lacrosse. That was our freshman recruiting class, and then we won the national championship our freshman year, indoor and outdoor. And then every year after that, we just recruited more and more kids. Our coaches going around to kids and saying, "Hey, you can go run D1, but look at who we got going here."
Yeah.
Right. And so every year we just got bigger and
made it easy on the recruiting program. Lightened the load a lot.
I think it was my senior year. We had 2 separate 4x400 meter relay teams. We were ranked 1st and 3rd in the country. 2 separate teams. We could have like split our team in half and taken like 1st and 2nd at the national championships. It was insane. It's just such a dominating team. We had 3 guys qualify for the Olympic trials. You know,
God,
so
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
You're talking Olympics here. This is the best in the world.
Little UW lacrosse. So yeah, so I mean that was a massive period of time in the career, and then life moves on. You know, I signed a free gear and travel contract, but you don't get paid, and next thing you know, my wife and I are having a baby. It's like, okay,
life.
Like, I was good enough to be in the race, but like if you're watching track and field on TV, you're watching like the top 3, and then you got all those guys in the back, they have to fill the lanes with somebody. That was me.
Okay.
So it's like,
you were there.
I was good enough to be in the race, but not.
You were in the room.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, time to move on.
Andrew Rock, is that, how do you spell that last name? Just how it sounds?
Yeah, ROCK. Andrew Rock.
He's gifted with an awesome name, though.
yeah, right? The Rock.
From your name.
Yeah, no doubt.
That is pretty cool. Wow.
No, well, it's so funny. Like I got inducted into the Hall of Fame at UW Lacrosse, and it was cool. But it was like always living in the shadow, right? I think had Rock not been there, it would have been like, oh, Derek Toshner, greatest track athlete, one of the, maybe not the greatest, but one of the greatest track athletes of all time, or the greatest athlete on the team. But it was like, yeah, there's Andrew Rock, he's that super, and then that other guy.
I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, he's fast too. It was funny, but I mean, he made me better for sure. To be in practice every day. It's like who you get in the room with, right? You gotta surround yourself with winners,
fly
and
with
champions,
eagles,
and mindset. Yeah, it's just a different mindset. To this point, not to like knock UW Oshkosh, because they've come such a long way. UWO is one of the best programs in the country now.
Track?
Yeah, track and field.
Oh, okay.
But when I went over there, I moved back home to Fond du Lac, and I was still running track, and decided to go up to UW Oshkosh to kind of like run, and I started kind of helping the program out. I couldn't believe like their mindset and attitude. I was like, you guys are college athletes. You're acting like kids. Like, what are you doing? Like you all would have got cut at lacrosse. Like every single one of you. Right? Your attitudes suck. Your efforts suck. You don't show up. You go get hammered on weekends. Like,
you diagnosed the whole season for how many seasons in just a few minutes of conversation.
Yeah, man. Culture. That was the difference. But anyway, I mean, they're awesome now. Really, I think they took 2nd in the country to lacrosse last year, actually.
Do you know? Oh, really? Do you know if they had, was it maybe coaching change? Just the foundation got built up stronger.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how why it was that way. Coach Zuponk is a Hall of Fame coach. At that time, he was really good, but he was a distance coach too, right? But yeah, somehow the culture gets built one way or another. So
just to jump back to the wrestling thing really quick, the neat thing about wrestling, just to jump back, is we didn't have wrestling at in my high school, so it kind of was shot there, so I was forced to play basketball. But wrestling you still get that team sport camaraderie and culture, and have a lot of individualized performance, outcome on your own shoulders, which is neat.
Yeah.
So
Track's
when
the
you're
same
out
way.
and same with track when you're running that way,
Mhm.
your buddy Andrew carried the whole team, but
Yeah.
it's pretty neat stuff.
Yeah. He was the only person from his team at the state championships. And so when you win, you score 10 points. We won 4 events, so he scored 40 points, which took second place in the state of Wisconsin. He was the only member of his team represented at state.
But yet technically
Really?
his team went.
Yeah. Well, no, team doesn't go. It's just like
Okay.
they keep track of quote unquote team points. I
Okay.
remember them saying, and in second place, Stratford, and he was the only person to walk out and get the trophy.
Stratford, Wisconsin.
Yeah. Like for example, like when I was at lacrosse, we had a 55-man roster, and generally like maybe 15 guys qualify for the national championships. So those 15 guys are going to try to score all the points possible. I think my senior year we might have qualified like 35 of the 55 of us, something insane. Like over half the team qualified for the national championships. Right? So,
Those are awesome
yeah,
memories.
I
Something
mean,
to be proud of.
some universities have maybe one guy or
Okay.
one gal going, so it's
Yeah.
it's just wild.
I wanted to touch on you're a rock climber, and I always knew that, and it didn't mean to as much to me until after. And we're not talking about rock climbing here. I hiked the Grand Canyon, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
You gave
Yeah.
me a ton of advice, which this Grand Canyon hike to a guy like Derek Toshner is absolutely nothing. He did rim to rim to rim, okay, and which I never knew all of your successes with mountains and your climbing and just heights. I never put that into perspective until I was in somewhat of a situation like that with those types of heights, cliffs, and it gave me it really opened my eyes to appreciating some of these things. You have no idea until you're in some type of a video or a picture, a photo of somebody on Everest doesn't do anything justice. It's really hard to get a photo to get any viewer to comprehend even close. It's like kind of taking a picture of the moon or the sunset. You never do it justice.
Absolutely.
But
I
putting
actually
you
stopped
there
taking pictures. I stopped taking pictures for the most part. It's
yeah.
just like I have this one behind me here in the office. I just honestly I got lucked out. I just I had it on my helmet cam, and I was like, oh, that looks like a cool shot, and I reached up and just hit my helmet cam, not thinking
No
anything
shit.
of it. And then I get down off the climb.
No.
I'm like, whoa, look at that photo! I'm like, one
Oh
of the
yeah.
best I've ever taken. It
Some of the
actually took
best ones.
second place. It took second place in a photo competition.
Really?
Yeah, like a climbing photo competition.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I just shot that off my helmet cam, man. I don't know. Hopefully it's coming through clear. I think we're a little
It is.
blurry right now, but
It is. No, clear as a bell.
Yeah, sweet. So, yeah,
Super cool.
but yeah, most of the time you just can't catch the depth, right? And it's like I'd rather just and that's the same thing with social media today. Like I guess I'm so busy like living the moment. A lot of times I forget,
Well, it is. How do you do both? Like, so you're the 1%er. This is just my opinion. You're the 1%er that does it deep. And when you go to the level that you compete at and you live at, you don't have time to shoot this stuff yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're so caught up, like you said, in the moment. And the rest of us, 99%, are wanting to be in the moment, but we're not really doing shit. So we have lots of time to take photos and video and be really creative with stuff. And that's the truth, though. That's the truth.
I don't know.
You would have to have a media person, on your team to just
to follow me around. Well, yeah, and then good luck following me on my next climb. It's 1,400 foot of vertical climbing. Like you might, it's going to be as like climbing that drywall behind me. It's like I sent you some of the pictures. I mean, it's straight up, right? Like good luck following me, or you take a drone or something. I mean, and it's one of those things. Like when you look into like different worlds, right? like somebody can be a really, really elite triathlete, but they're not an Olympian, right? And so,
Yeah.
what's going to go on TV? Everybody's fun to follow. Everybody's got a unique story, but I try to do interesting things, but I don't know. Paying a
Tell
cameraman to follow me around up. I'm going to try to do this hike where I hike in 2 hours. I climb 1,400 feet vertical. I rappel the other side of the mountain, climb 1,000 feet vertical on that side, rappel the first side of the mountain, then hike back out like all in 24 hours, right? And I'll try to document it like as best I can and things like that because it is kind of a cool project.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But yeah.
Tell us about that year that you summited 10 mountains.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It just kind of happened. And like going somewhat into a business story along with this is,
Mhm.
I had built like a successful business that basically just in a 7-minute conference call was gone. Just pre-COVID, like 2019, right? We had it took me 17 years, and I had built this business. It was running like 4 million a year in annual sales, and with a pretty high markup, so it was good. And then just like 7-minute conference call, do not pass go, do not collect any more money for the rest of your life. And I was like, wow, that's brutal. And I had always done rock climbing, and rock climbing kind of lends you into mountaineering. You got to kind of hike to the climb, or sometimes, let's just hike this mountain instead of actual technical rock climbing. And yeah, man, I threw myself at mountains as kind of an escape from my hemorrhaging bank account. I was like hiding essentially, or just, depressed. I was depressed. I loved what I did. And, 17 years of work just kind of gone. It was like there's a big empty hole in my life. And I took rock climbing in college, and, it was just always a hobby of mine. So I just kind of threw myself at climbing because that's all you can think about when you're climbing. Like, if you screw up, you're going to die. So like, you
Yeah.
better focus, right? And you have no time to think about how you feel, right?
Mhm.
About like your financial situation or your life or your career or anything, right? It's like I'm hyper focused on the wall.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it just it's interesting how like a new career emerged out of that. When that happened, like some people reached out to me, and of course, hey, you should buy this business and that business, non-fitness related stuff. And I'm like, guys, I'm a fitness guy. Like I don't know. I can't sell insurance. I can't sell cars. I'm not gonna like work for the liquor company, like all this stuff. I'm not gonna market, outboard motors or whatever. I just want to do fitness stuff, and I always have done what I'm passionate about, and a new kind of career emerged out of that time because I was just throwing myself at rock climbing. Pavel Tsatsouline, a good friend of mine, he's done like Huberman podcast, Rogan, like he's on some high-level podcasts. He reached out and said, "Hey, Derek, why don't you teach my all-terrain conditioning course?" And I started teaching that course around the country, actually, even in the world. I taught it in Darmstadt, Germany, a few years back, and finally, a strength coach from Australia took my course, all-terrain conditioning, and he wanted me to meet an athlete who was trying to break a world record in Aconcagua. That's the tallest mountain in the Americas, right? It's in South America, in Argentina.
Okay.
And she was going to try to break a speed record, right? A lot of these people, you've probably seen 14 peaks and things like that. People trying to break speed records all the time for climbing. And so she was trying to do that. And so I ended up training her, going with her on that. And I guess in the process of all that, people were like, whoa, you're doing this cool stuff. You're climbing. Like, can we go climbing with you? Can we go hiking with you? And it kind of like almost by accident wound up through training, through people asking to go, through me trying to like hide from, like I said, my hemorrhaging bank account,
Yeah.
and maybe find myself and kind of like, rise from the ashes, so to speak, and just rebuild a
When you say,
career. I,
you say by accident, but I have to disagree with you a little bit because what I've found is, the mistake I made at 19 is what can I go do to make money, and I got into a career that way that ended up I had to try to escape from. But when you start doing what you love, and you go that road instead, and how are you gonna if you love to do something? How are you gonna screw that up? So, like in your case, you love it,
yeah,
you became amazing at it, and then what's the next step? People pay you to do it.
yeah, Yep. That's
The
pretty
money
much it.
follows. The money is the career, and money is a byproduct of your passion for that project or
Yeah.
that hobby, or and that's what I've been saying is the mistakes I've made. We try to teach some people some things here on the Intensity Podcast, so they don't have to take the bruises and all the cuts.
Yeah.
It seems like accident, but I think it's an organic, real path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as a result, it wound up in 10 mountains, including the tallest mountain in both Americas, Aconcagua, right? It's fun to get up to nearly 23,000 feet of altitude. I mean, the air is definitely thin up there. Dude, you're sleeping in your tent at high camp, and it feels like there's a kettlebell on your chest. Like, I can't breathe. And
Oh,
just to get out of your sleeping bag, put your shoes on, get out of the tent, go take a piss, get back into your tent, climb back in your sleeping bag, feels like a 30-minute high intense interval workout, right? Like,
and
you're
people are
just,
dying. I mean, there's
oh,
a lot of life lost doing these things.
yeah, yep,
Like
that's
on
true too.
Everest,
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
watching stuff on Everest lately, and they're counting. I don't know how many bodies they say are still there.
yeah.
They just
Yeah,
they're not going anywhere.
it's a very real thing. I mean, I was on that mountain right behind me in that picture. Was it 2, 3 years ago? There was a gentleman right behind our group. He was talking to the last guy on my team, just like I'm talking to you right now. And we're like, all right, cool, we'll see you at the top. And he never made it. He slipped and fell on the next pitch. And yeah, it's a weird feeling when you and your team are trying to summit a mountain, and it's like it's supposed to be this like really good, like, yeah, we did it, like, yeah, let's get down safe, cool, and you get down and you're like, wait, that guy behind us died. Like, how are you supposed to feel?
I
Like,
know.
it's a really awkward kind of feeling. It's kind of surreal. You end up hiking off the mountain a little bit, quieter than you would expect.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but
And you
yeah, I
can't. And
mean,
you make a decision. I mean, it's not the real kicker for me is if you get in your head, like there's zero room to get in your head because
man,
you can't quit. Like there's
yep,
no I'm throwing in the towel, guys.
yep, yep.
I'm just so you are there.
Yeah.
Period. And
Well,
you have to no, go ahead.
I'm sure you saw it in the Grand Canyon. Like, there's a book on how people die at the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like you're going and nobody's coming to get you. That's the thing. Like, there's certain places on Earth. I mean, maybe certain places are a little bit safer than others with park rangers and helicopters and
Mhm.
things. But yeah, I mean, there's some places like you're there alone. Nobody's coming to save you. You better figure it out, right? Which would lead,
Yeah, that's the
I can
thing.
talk
Yeah.
about Denali. I can talk, coming off of Aconcagua, I got right off. I basically barely got home, and I got an invitation to go climb Denali, McKinley, whatever we want to call it these days. The tallest mountain in North America, and man, that is like a super surreal when the plane drops you off and then flies away, and you look at your team members, and you're like, just us, I guess. You better do your job, and you do yours, and I'll do mine, because like no one else is here. So it's wild.
Well, you are a survivalist. I have to stop myself of sending you things like to do. I know like everything I see that looks like, oh my God, I'm intrigued. Like I said, Derek should do that. You know what I mean? I'm one of these guys. Derek should do. I got a list. If you ever really want a list of things to do, and you go, Shannon, I got nothing. I don't know what to do. Call me up. I'll send you the list I have for you prepared.
Deal. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're the
And
only
some of
guy
that,
I know that can do this stuff.
yeah. Yeah. I'm driven by the physical, right? Like I said, I always have to have a carrot out there. I have a really hard time like exercising for the sake of just being healthy, and that's fine. A lot of people do that. Like, they have other passions and other careers, and they have to. Like, I'm a firm believer. Like, the healthier you are, the better you can do your job, whatever that is,
Mhm.
whatever passion and desires you have for life. My passion and desire has always been athletics, sports, fitness. I got done with track, and it's like, it's kind of empty. Like, yeah, you spend all this time, your whole life training for something, all of a sudden it's gone. You're like, well, do I just, jump on the elliptical now? Like, what do I do? you know, and I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, functional fitness gyms became so popular, because it's like that team camaraderie again. Go work hard with somebody, you know, that you did when you played sports, and it feels good. You got that kind of team atmosphere again, and that encouragement. But yeah, I've always had to train for something, and that, you know, led to CrossFit for a little while, and then it kind of I was like, you know, I just want to go on just real adventures. It got to a point, and I still enjoy CrossFit. I still enjoy, you know, high rocks and all that kind of stuff. It's Spartan races, but it got to a point where they felt like fabricated adventures to me. They felt kind of fake, you know, like there's an aid station 500 feet away, right? Like, how hard really is it? You know, like
That's a good
read,
point.
read the book Endurance, you know, Shackleton, hear about his men living in, you know, Antarctica with their boat freaking frozen to the ice shelf, right? You know, and survive, you know, and so, and not that it has to be like live or die situations, but I do think like there are certain times that you can kind of test those things and
Mhm.
intelligently test them, and find a new level, like find something inside of you that you didn't know was ever there. And I mean, I could get into a Denali story with that if you don't, you know, unless you had something that comes up.
Well, I'd love to. I'd love to hear about it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So we're on Denali, McKinley again, whatever you want to call it. It's the tallest mountain in North America. It's in Alaska, right? And you know, we're supposed to be on the mountain, like everything goes awesome 14 days, you know, generally 17, 18 days. If things go badly, 21 days, you know, and so it's
Okay.
like we're going to pack 21 days of food, right?
Yep. Yep.
So, yeah, man, on day 17, we actually started rationing our food. We're like, it's not like looking super hot. Like we might be walking out like on day 21, we'll probably be walking out, right? So like let's make sure that we have enough food. And we ended up summiting on day 20. You know, we got this is just like the hardest thing in my life, man. Like you're carrying a 50-pound backpack, you're pulling a 40-pound sled up a hill,
This is the hardest
you
thing
know.
you've ever done in your life.
Yeah, by far, physically,
By far.
mentally.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Yep.
It broke, the mountain broke me a couple times for sure.
Okay. Wow.
Um,
To hear you
yeah,
say
I mean,
that is
imagine a 50-pound backpack, 40-pound sled. You got these massive boots with snowshoes on, and you're hiking up a glacier or a mountain, for like 13 straight hours, you know? And then
yeah.
when you get to where you're going, but guess what? Nobody's like, no, there's not like a luxury hotel there. Like now you got to
Mhm.
like dig the snow flat with shovels. You got to build your tent. By the way, don't let go of your tent, because if it blows away, you're going to die. Right. So somebody hold on to the tent while you're building it. Right.
Wow.
And then once the tent is built and all your stuff is in and it's staked down, well, now let's go build a bathroom. Now let's go build a kitchen tent. Now let's make dinner. Let's dig snow and, you know, melt it for water, right? Like it's like nonstop work, right? So it's like
Yeah.
work, 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 and then all of a sudden a blizzard rolls in, and you spend the next 4 days sitting in your tent. That's, you know, I mean, it's like right next to your partner. Like there's no room. You're
For
like,
four
now,
days.
now, now, sit in the tent for 4 days and stare at your food rations and don't eat it. You know, like
Wow.
you, dude, it's like I'm looking at like, and you have no cell service. I had an inReach, and so you just sit there and twiddle your thumbs. And it's not like you bring books up there. You already have a 50-pound backpack and a 40-pound sled. Like we're not going to throw in extra reading material.
No, no.
You know,
Extra weight.
there's only
No.
so much you can
Wow.
do. So you just stare at your inReach and like, oh, it's blinking. Somebody sent me a message. You know, you try to like, I
Yeah.
don't know. We took like some ice saws and we like sawed in like a game of like cornhole, you know, beanbag
Okay.
cornhole. And we started playing, you know, cornhole, you know, with ice blocks, and we had like bags of frozen cheese, you know. So we're
Wow,
playing
man.
cornhole out there, but you can only sit outside for like 30 minutes before you're frozen,
Sure.
you know. You're like, okay, back in the tent, back in your sleeping bag, try to huddle, you know. And so and then the weather breaks, and it's like, all right, well let's march for the next 4 days, right? Like here we go,
Okay.
we're back on, game on.
Gotta
And
go.
then you
Gotta
get
go. Yep.
hunkered down for 3 more days, and it's like this constant battle. Well, like the last possible day that we had, we're like, okay, we either have to move today or the expedition's over, right? And we woke up and it wasn't ideal. Like one of our team members had quit because they were afraid of like avalanche risk. And then two other team members had quit previously because it was just got too physical for them.
How many people total with you at this and your teams?
We started with 9 and finished with 6. And it kind of gets, I mean, you get a little upset sometimes when people quit because you end up having to carry more gear.
Sure.
Like let's say there's 3 people and one carries the tent, one carries the tent fly, and one carries the tent poles. Well,
Okay.
if 2 people quit and go home, guess who has to carry the whole tent? You
Yeah.
do.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and so it just gets heavier and heavier. And so, yeah, we were going from like 14,000 to 17,000 feet, and I had like a 68-pound backpack on. I had so much stuff because you carry extra fuel to, melt snow for water, and shovels and saws and, all the equipment, pots and pans to make things, like you got to have all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, we get up to 16 ridge. So we get up from 14 to 16,000 feet, and we go up these fixed lines. So it's like 40 to 60 degree angle ice, and you're on a rope and you're like kicking your crampons into the ice and you're getting up there. We get up to the top and we get drilled with this blizzard. And we're like, oh my gosh, we have 2 options now. We can go down the line, the 2,000 feet we just came from, or we can just finish the last 1,000 feet up this exposed ridge line, right? And so we're like, well, let's keep pushing because the next couple days weather looks good. Like if we can get there, like we'll probably summit, right? And it was the slowest moving vertical feat I've ever done in my life. I got to a point where I kind of freaked out. We were kind of on this traverse. We're like swinging our ice axe into the snow and kicking, kind of moving sideways. And I just started flailing a little bit. I got a little nervous that I might fall. And I took a really heavy breath out, and like the air from my breath came up and it iced my goggles. And
Oh boy.
you can't, and then you take your mitten and you try to wipe your goggles and it's frozen and you can't see shit. And you're like, oh my God, I'm trying to look through this little hole in the middle of my goggles and see what you're doing. And I got to the top of that and I was like so freaked out. I was flailing. My crampons like cut my pants because I was just kind of flailing. I
Mm-hmm.
get to the top and I rip off my goggles and I put my, glacier glasses on. I ended up getting like a little like wind blister on my nose. And so we finally get to 17,000 feet. Actually, I should back up. We got to like 16,500. 2 people on our team couldn't carry their bags anymore, so they had to drop them, get to 17,000, and then go back and get their bags and get back up to 17,000.
Okay.
Right. So just like a really, really rough day. I sent you my watch. That was the day. I think I sent you my training.
Yeah, the Garmin training readiness 1. I've never seen that.
I didn't think it was possible, dude. Right?
I'm
What's your
glad you
training ready?
I laughed at that. That's low. It's getting rough. Times are getting
Today's
tough.
like 85, right? Like you're like, okay, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 100, what's your training readiness? Like, yeah, 100 is probably theoretically possible, but generally you're somewhere between 30 and 90, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, literally went down to 1. It was the hardest.
Obviously mentally sound is an understatement with you, and you've done stuff like this, but this was the most challenging thing by far that you said. Did you ever question?
Yeah.
I mean, I know how mentally tough you are, but have some of these things like with the goggles and not being able to see, being in that such a dangerous position, did you ever say, what am I doing here? Is this too far?
Never in action. Never in action. No. I had to ask that question like before I left.
Sure. Yep.
Denali was on my goal board. And I don't know if you do goal boards, just something I really suggest. My wife likes to put those together, and we have it in our pantry. And just little sticky notes that I can stuff that you want to do with your life.
Yep.
And Denali was on the list. Post children graduating high school. I'm like, I guess should get my kids out of high school or college. But at the end of the day, like none of us are guaranteed anything. And this opportunity arose that I could join this team, and my expenses were paid for. I didn't have to pay a penny to go on this trip. It's like 20 grand to climb the mountain.
No kidding.
By the time you're looking at all your gear and travel,
Sure.
and flight and get to the glacier, and so Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, it's an opportunity. Like,
That is an
just, and you
opportunity.
kind
A
of,
lot of most human beings aren't going to look at that as an opportunity.
yeah.
I don't know if you have people saying you're crazy to do this stuff. I mean, I'm sure. I
Hmm.
know the average mind is not thinking like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It comes up and it's like, you got a choice you can step through. And I feel like, Hans, I feel like a lot of times, maybe not all the time, but whenever it's felt like it stirred in me to step through, I've been more of a risk taker than not. Some things don't work out, but I step forward, and today, like I train people for mountains. That's what I do now. I train if you're interested in mountain climbing, snowboarding, skiing, rock climbing, hiking, and then I do guiding trips. And my schedule's full. I have like probably six too many clients right now. I'm overbooked. I put up a Inca and Azangate Inca trail trip to Machu Picchu, and we're going to climb Huayna Picchu behind Machu Picchu.
Okay,
Um, it's a
true.
$6,100 trip. I had 24 people book it. You know,
Well,
uh,
there's trust there
yeah, and
for the
that's just
guy.
it. It's like
Yeah,
this guy. I know his Denali story. Like
yeah.
you know, I'll follow him to the Inca Trail. I'll follow him rim to rim to rim. Like I'll follow
That's
him.
what it's all about.
And so
Absolutely.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's like trust. You build that trust. So yeah, man. And it builds over time too. It's not like you just go from zero to like Alex Honnold free soloing El Capitan, or the building he just climbed
Mhm.
free. So you don't just like do that overnight, but like the small things, and everything becomes a calculated risk, and you're like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. You always kind of have to stay grounded in your abilities, right? But yeah, to get back to your question, I never in the moment was I thinking like, what the hell am I doing here, right? We're gonna die. Like in the moment, it's all you just think, what do I have to do to
Level head.
make it to work, right? I have to get to 17,000. Like there's no, what are you gonna do? Sit there and die? Right? Those are
Mhm.
your options, right? So like, you might as well choose, and that'll kind of bring me to like day 24. By the way, remember when I said like day 21 was like
You
absolute,
were
like
hoping to
we
get,
had
yeah,
food
that
for
was the
20.
last case,
Yeah,
worst case scenario.
yeah. I'll get to day 24 in a bit,
Okay,
but
great.
yeah. But like total another mental game, right? But yeah, so we get up to 17,000. My training readiness says one. It's like, well, it's a beautiful day to summit. Training readiness of one. Let's go for it. And
Unreal.
uh, and it comes back to that like ultimate focus, man. The first couple hours of summit day, you're on what's called the Autobahn. And if you guys are out there and you know anything about like rock climbing or mountaineering, it's I don't know. Sometimes we climbers have like these either like sexual perverted names, or they have like these really like demented names. It's like this team of Germans fell off the Autobahn or fell off this part of the Denali and died, and so they call it the Autobahn.
That's where they got the
Yep,
name. Wow.
that's where it got
Okay.
the name. Yeah, there's also the Orient Express, and these are the legit names. I'm not being like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not,
No.
this is the legitimate name for it. It's called the Orient Express. A team of Asian people fell off and died, and
And it just
and so
sticks. These names stick.
I don't know. They're just like crazy. Yeah, I think it's kind of demented in a way, but yeah, the first 2 hours are the Autobahn. Yeah, training readiness of
Okay.
one. Let's walk on the Autobahn. You're like walking on your crampons, like, and your crampons are about just wider than your boot. You know the spikes that are on the bottom of your boot, right?
Mhm.
And you got like two spikes hanging off the edge. And you're connected to the person in front of you, and you're connected to the person in the back of you. And so not only it's like don't screw up, but you have to trust the people on either ends of you to not screw up either, or they're going
Right.
to yard you off 2,000
Yep.
feet, right? And so you're kind of like clipping these pickets in between you. So like a picket's like a metal stake that's jammed into the ice and snow, and there's a carabiner on it, and you clip it. So if you fall, you self-arrest. You throw your axe into the snow, and then hopefully the rope catches on the picket, and the team is safe, and we can pull the guy up and get back on track. But man, uh, we didn't make our rope long enough between us, so there were some places where we couldn't go from picket to picket without being clipped in. So we like the last person in our line unclips the picket, and the first person in the line still has like 40, 50 feet to go before they get the next picket. Like, okay, we're going to step 40 or 50 feet like this with a couple edges of your crampons hanging off the ice, and no one fall or you're going to kill us all. Right? So, yeah, then we get to the next picket and we finally get up there, and it's stressful. You're tired. It's day 20 of 21 days, and you're overworked, 20,000 feet of altitude, and you go through a couple other places, and then you get to the point where it's called the football fields, and beyond the football fields is what's called Pig Hill. And we've climbed like these other hills. They're named like Motorcycle Hill or whatever. I can't remember, Squirrel Hill. And they're like little like hills on the mountain. You're like, they're steep, but they're not that bad. Dude, I saw Pig Hill, and it broke me, dude. I started to cry. I couldn't believe, like, I was so freaking tired, and exhausted. And when I looked at how steep and how big it was like a mountain that sits on a mountain, right? And I'm actually starting to sweat just thinking about it right now. And I started to cry, and then the tears are freezing to my cheeks, which hurts, by the way. And then you're trying to scrape it off with your mitten, which is frosted over, and then you're just scratching your face. And I'm like, holy shit, I gotta stop crying. And so I jumped on my InReach and I sent a message to my team that was kind of following me. I said, we've come up on Pig Hill. It's time for a pig roast. And I sounded like super confident, but I was like crying.
Leadership.
But then all of a sudden, my InReach just lit up. It was like ping, 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 ping. Like, you got it. You're so close. We can see how close you are to the top. Finish strong. Like, all that stuff. And you realize, like, all those people are behind you, supporting you. And so I just put my hood up and I put my head down, and I'm like, okay, man, this one breath, one step at a time. And I told myself, I'm like, you're just at the gym doing step ups for the next couple hours. That's all it is.
That's what you told yourself?
Yep. You're just at the gym doing step ups. I didn't want to look. I just didn't want to, like, how if you're walking on a treadmill, this is why we love functional fitness.
You're saying that, I just can't imagine. I couldn't imagine what that was like.
Dude, like I was gonna say, like, the functional fitness is so great because, like, you've been in a gym and you put the towel over the treadmill so you can't see the time because it's like obnoxious to, like, I've been only walking for 5 minutes.
You stare at it the whole time. Yeah.
Dude, I didn't want to see the top of Pig Hill. I just put my hood up and I just, like, looked at my feet. And this was July 1st. We were the first team to summit. And it had snowed quite a bit. And so we had to, like, break trail. So you live in Wisconsin, you know what it's like to walk in, shin deep snow, knee deep snow, and post hole in all the time. So we're like, you're kicking your crampons to be like, kick, 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 step, kick, kick, kick. You're trying to make it flat so you have something to stand on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that for hours, and then you get to we summited. It was a gorgeous day. But the summit, I always tell people, summit, you're like, essentially 3/4 or 2/3 of the way there. Now you got to get down safely. You achieve your objective, but nobody cares if you don't come home alive, right? So you walk back down through all of that, and then what's the last 2 hours of the day? The Autobahn. You gotta re-get back through the Autobahn. And my our group leader looked at me and he said, "Tosh, you want to lead?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to lead." And there's that ultimate, like, focus again. I just don't think maybe there's other situations people feel it, or flow state, or whatever you want to call it, but, like, I was fully exhausted. I was hungry. It was essentially, like, I think midnight or 1 a.m. when we got there. You can't really tell because the sun just kind of, like, circles around up there, and so I looked down at the watch. I think it might have been like 1 a.m. And I'm like, holy crap, it's 1 a.m. Here we go. Focus or die. Like, figure it out. Don't kill your team. Let's go. And it's like the next 2 hours, you're like a freaking machine. Like, every step is perfectly placed. You clip your picket. And we did lengthen our rope that time so we could get to all the pickets safely without having to, like, free solo it across the Autobahn. And we get back down to base camp, and the next day is another beautiful day. And we weren't hiking for, I don't know, a couple hours, and whiteout again. Complete whiteout. And it's like, if you could imagine, like, being inside of a ping pong ball that's also a snow globe, dude, you can't see shit. And you're like, I can't even see I'm on a rope. The person in front of me is like 70 feet in front of me, and I can't even see the person in front of me. I can see my rope just kind of dragging across the ground into like the abyss, right? And so you're like relying on GPS. Well, we figure out, we had enough like cloud break that we kind of got back down to 14 camp. We got stuck at 14 camp for another couple days. And on day 23, the conversation became, hey guys, we all got a packet of ramen for dinner, and there's no breakfast tomorrow. So regardless of the weather, it's probably the best idea if we start hiking.
Yeah.
Because we could like sit in our tents, but all we're going to do is get hungrier and hungrier and hungrier and waiting for a good weather window. And then we're going to be weak, tired. Maybe we're not going to be thinking clearly, and nobody wants to step into a crevasse or get blown off windy corner or something like that. It's like, while we have at least a little something in our stomachs, we should probably get the hell out of here.
For the same reason, the bison in the plains, when the storm comes, they run through it.
Yeah.
The bison, the only animal that runs towards the storm, because they're eating vegetation. They see that storm running through. They know they can't endure and stick it out because it's just that misery. And for the same reasons that you're running out of food, they know they got to haul ass, and they all just sprint through it so they get to the other side. It's worth the misery of hauling ass.
I actually didn't know that, but that's true.
Yeah, it's a neat deal. A lot of people, because I was talking to the head coach of the North Dakota State Bison, and they know, a lot of people know they run through the storm, but a lot of them don't know why they run at it. And it makes perfect sense. It's exactly what you just said.
Get it over with. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yep. Yeah. Less suffering ultimately.
Yeah. So, we got up the next day, started trekking off. It's like a 14-hour hike back to base camp. And you kind of start light because like a little bit lighter because you're burying supplies on the way up, stuff you're not going to use. Like, oh, we're going to bury this. And then, so you dig a hole and you bury what you want. And then you put like this big wand in the ground. It's like usually 6 feet long, 3 feet in the snow and 3 feet out of the snow in case it blows or wind comes in. Like, it's crazy, dude. Like, wind and snow will come in and you'll wake up in the morning. You're like, where's our gear? It's just buried under snow, and so then you spend the morning digging your stuff out of the snow. So you have these big wands. Likewise, the wind can scrape all the snow off, and then your wand can blow away, right? So it's got to be kind of long. And so anyway, you start down, and it starts really, really steep. You're really, really steep, and you're kind of holding your partner's sled from like sliding down into them. Like, your job is to hold the sled back, from running into the person in front of you, and same with the person behind you. So you're walking down these steep kind of wind scarred, ice. It's pretty hard. And then it starts to flatten out, but then you start to dig up and add, it's like, oh, hey, remember those cans? Remember those jars of poop that we buried here? Like, we're going to throw them in our sleds, or put them in your backpack, put stuff in your backpack. And so your sled is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. So a 14-hour hike from where we were back to base camp. Meanwhile, it's going from very steep to more and more gradual, and you're adding weight to your pack as time goes on. So it's getting harder. And dude, I could have swore I knew, like, imagine we're supposed to walk this way, and like I felt like the rope was going like slightly left. And I should have said something, and I didn't, and the next thing you know, the group leader stops in front of us, and he's like looking down at his GPS and looking down at his GPS, and he kind of turns around, he's like, fuck. He's like, we need to be like 30 minutes that way. So we like walked 30 minutes out of the way. Yeah. You got, mind you, no food.
Tough time to do that.
Yeah. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is like, what's being angry or complaining gonna help? Like, we're all in the same situation, like
more energy lost.
Yeah. Like, you might as well keep a good attitude and be like, okay, well, yep, we got to be 30 minutes that way. Let's start going, right? And then you start going that way. Well, then we overcompensated another half hour. And that's when I started to sweat. I was like, holy crap, like that maybe is the one time I was like, this is how people die out here. Like this is,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I've read about this. Like this is really how people die.
Yeah,
We should
mistakes.
stop screwing up really soon,
Yeah, yeah,
you know? And
yep.
meanwhile, my wife texts me because she's following me on my InReach, and we started to like make like a star on the InReach. You could
Oh,
see the blue line going all over the place, and her text was like, "What the hell are you doing?" And I think I responded back like something, just leave me alone for a second. We got to figure this out. And so yeah, I
ouch.
mean, we finally got back on track. We had buried, early on, we buried some like couscous and tuna packets.
Okay.
Dude, the best couscous, when we got back to that
Yeah,
and found it, oh my God, couscous and tuna has never tasted so good
I
and
bet.
never will again, you know? Uh,
That was great.
And so then we get all the way back to base camp and go over. There's like a national park service, like parked at base camp. Like one park ranger, he kind of stays for the season, or they rotate in and out. They jump on the planes and come in and out. And we're like, hey, has any other group, we told them our situation. Has any other group, left food behind that we could maybe eat? Because we got back to base camp and the storm was still there. So a plane can't come get you. Like they're not going to fly into fog or
Yeah,
a snowstorm. Like they got to be able to see the mountain. So
yeah.
just because you're at base camp doesn't mean you're really safe, right? Like you have no
True.
food and you
Yeah,
could be
that's a
stuck
good
here for
point.
the next 4 days without food. So he's like, yeah, there's some wands over there. I think a group like earlier in the season, like months ago, like buried some stuff over there. Like, oh, sweet.
No kidding.
Taking I shit you not, Hans. It was they were like these really stale cinnamon rolls, like about this big, and a tin of blueberry bread that the bag broke open and the snow got in on it. You know?
Still good.
Dude, we get back into our tent, we start like wolfing these together, and then all of a sudden, I think we all realized it at the same time as we were shoving food in our face. We look up and we're like, this might be the only food we have for the next 4 days. Like, I'm full. That's enough.
Mhm.
I'm good.
Yep.
Like, not really good. And we just went down to lay down
Mm.
mode. You've probably seen shows like, Survivor and that. Like, they live multiple days without food. You're not going to die,
Mhm.
and that's,
Right.
and that, well, you shouldn't die. And that was my, like, kind of, kept telling myself, like, dude, you're fine. Like, think of, uh, what was that movie that, like, trying to think. The guy, he was a POW. He basically, his plane crashed and he was in the ocean floating around for like forever, only to be picked up by,
Yeah, the
Japanese
Chinese,
soldiers. And
yeah, Japanese. Yes, yes, yes.
Unbroken was the
Yeah,
movie. Unbroken.
Unbroken.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Louis Zamperini. Right. Yeah.
yeah. When it can't
Yeah.
get any worse, it got
Yeah.
worse.
Dude. Yeah. And I was always just reminded of stuff like that when you're going through this and you're like, yeah,
Someone else has
like
done it. Yeah.
it's been worse, right? And so get tough, right? And so we just kind of went to lay down mode. Let's just lay down in our tents and we'll just sleep it off. And whenever the plane's able to come get us, it comes gets us. Um, and yeah, luckily, it was like later the next day. Like we got to base camp, got the food, set up our tents, all that stuff. That next day, about 2 o'clock, the plane got us, or a little after. But we got back to it flew us back to town like late in the day. And everything was closed. The grocery store was like closed. All the
Perfect.
hotels were booked. And so we went to this bar and we're like, please tell us you're still serving. Like, they're like, the kitchen's gonna close in like 2 minutes. We're like, no, we'll pay you extra money to stay open. Like, what? Like, so they made us like a burger and some fries. Dude, I could have ate like 3 burgers
Oh,
and fries. I weighed myself. I
yeah.
lost 17 pounds in that 24 days. And
Unbelievable.
yeah,
Well, you even
and
needed fat. You know what I mean? You needed every macro. You needed every ounce of everything.
oh, you're eating like the whole time you're eating Snickers bars and cheese
Oh, yeah.
quesadillas. Just not good food, right? Calorie dense food, not nutrient dense food. And
Mhm.
yeah, so then then we're just sitting at the bar. and I'm not one to drink. Really, I'm not. Like I just don't drink. But like, that seemed like a good time. So,
Yeah,
like
right.
extra calories celebration, and so we had probably a few too many hot toddies, and then we just started wandering around town because all the
Okay.
hotels were closed. Should we go back and set up our tent somewhere?
I mean, not much is going to break you at that point. You had to know, hey, we're going to live. What's it matter? Just,
Yeah. We're walking around town, half in the bag, and we thought it would probably be a good idea to just start turning doorknobs. Like, look, this yurt looks empty. Sure enough, the
sure.
door's open. We push the door open, roll out our sleeping pads, roll out our sleeping bags, slept in some yurt, and yeah, woke up the next day, made sure like we didn't break anything or leave anything, like left no trace, and thanked that guy for whoever's yurt it was. But yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
That is fantastic.
it was a good
I'm really glad
good
you told
trip.
me
And
that
I mean,
story.
you come home and it makes you tougher. Like you just
Oh, I was just gonna ask you. I was gonna say, we'd run into so many people that, myself included, you find yourself complaining about the most minuscule, everyday nothing burger of a problem. Things like this have got to put that into perspective for the
yeah,
future.
I mean, yeah, perspective is everything, right? Like, and we just have to stop and breathe for a second sometimes, right? Myself included, take my own advice. But um, I can tell you that, like, since that day, nothing has physically been hard that I've done. Don't get me wrong, like things have like been hard. I've been with people who are like, "Oh my God, this is the most hardest thing I've ever done in my life." I'm like, "Cool, I could
Like
probably
the
do this
Grand
four
Canyon.
times." Yeah, yeah, man, I get it. I get it. That was you guys had a rough experience. That was a rough experience, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, when you live, imagine that kind of like hell for 24 days.
No, yeah, that's the part you lost me. I mean, that's how you don't break. Is we were at a breaking point in a day.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just perspective, like you said. It's all relative to um the subject in the frame of references you have. But yeah, and relatively, that was the hardest thing I've ever done.
That's cool.
It, it was just
Check.
the heat. Well, the heat, and I love heat.
Oh,
But
yeah,
127 degrees in wind is like you're wondering.
yeah, yeah. That's brutal, man.
But in
Well,
all
what
honesty,
about the opposite of that?
not a
Like
terrible
cold.
way to die. Sorry, we had a little leg. There is not a terrible way to die.
Well, and that's just it too. It's like people. I don't know. I'm not so much of a body preservationist. I don't know. I do want to live to be an old man. I do want to be physical my whole life. I want to be capable and strong my whole life, right? But I'm not gonna like hide in my house to make that happen. You know. And I think there's a fine line between being a body preservationist and not living. And
Well,
so.
on that
Mhm.
note, and I don't have the science on me, and there's another one I do want to run past you too, but um, me and a guy from the Plover Gym were talking, and I think we both saw the same study, but something about they're always studying the 100-year-old human beings longevity and
Yeah.
why,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
but
Centenarians.
they found that yeah, they found that these people tend to they had a part of the brain was a little bit larger, and it was not this um amygdala part that is controls the fear, but it's something similar to that, where these people have made a life of making hard decisions, like, I don't want to do that, this is gonna suck, and then they do it, and they connected the dots in essence on those decisions, um leading to, long story short, longevity of the human being, living long, living strong.
Mm.
And it's an
Yeah.
interesting thing of, everybody looking
Yeah.
for comfort. Like when you said just sitting in your house, that's what reminded me of that. And I couldn't
Hmm.
spit that out very well, but living in your house, trying to avoid danger, it doesn't seem like when they're in these studies that that's really what's leading to longevity.
Yeah.
It's doing the hard things.
Yeah. Just the opposite. Fasting, right? Doing difficult things. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I'm inspired by that. It's like there's well, multiple people, I guess. I think of Jack LaLanne, fitness industry people, even Richard Simmons, I'm inspired by it, like any fitness leader. Um, but yeah, I think of a guy, Marcel Remy. I think when he was like 90, he went on a 1,500-foot climb with his two 70-year-old sons. You know, and
Wow.
and when he was, I think it was 90, he was 97 years old. He went to a climbing gym and he led, meaning he climbs and clips his own rope in as he goes up. The rope's not there for him. He
Okay.
led a 5'9" climb, which is it's just under good. It's like you're getting there. It's more you're more than a newbie for sure. He lead climbed it, and then he died later that year in his sleep. Like that's it, dude.
That's the way to go.
97, like that's
Lucky
that's
bastard, they say, like on Grumpy
yeah,
Old Men.
yep. And then
No, that's the way to go.
yeah, and then the wide boys. I don't know how I got this on my brain. Just talking about inspiration and living a long time, and just being driven to do hard things. There's these guys in the UK called the Wide Boys. The Wide Boys. They're called the Wide Boys because they're known for a style of climbing called off-width climbing.
Okay.
So if you could imagine climbing, there's a crack in a rock. There's a crack. And finger climbing is when you can shove your fingers in the crack and you twist your fingers or contort them, or get your hands in the crack to pull yourself up, right? Then there's like a hand width. It's called hand width, where you can put your hand in the crack and you kind of like make a
Okay.
like a cupping, or you make a fist, or you turn, you lock your hand in place, and you kind of edge and you jam your feet in the crack and climb up. And then there's chimney climbing. You can imagine chimney like it's almost like climbing inside of a doorway where you have pressure
Mhm.
on both sides of the wall coming up. That's called chimney. Off width is this terrible in between where it's too narrow to get like your body into it. And it's too fat for just like your hand. You put your hand, you can't make a fist or anything. So you do these weird contorted things, like you shove your whole arm in it and try to twist your arm, or you like chicken wing up it and stuff, or you kind of like froggy press, and it's awkward. It feels like you're in a wrestling match with a rock, and even if you get to the top, you still lose somehow. You know, like it's this
Wide
little type of
boys.
climbing. Yeah, the wide boys. So they're known for doing this. But guess what, Hans? There's no off-width climbing where they come from in the UK.
Okay.
None. So what these guys did is they went into their basement that doesn't have any windows, by the way. You got to picture like, an English basement. It's not like in America where we have nice
Right.
windows and a
Right.
walkout, like
They have the
it's
big
like,
stones.
yeah, like, dude, it's not even 6 feet tall down there, right?
Mhm.
And so they like started screwing together 2x4s and stuff and like hanging upside down, trying to do different things in their basement. And so they trained in their little dungeon basement with 2x4s, and they became the best off-width climbers on the planet.
It's insane.
And then what? Then they started a company selling off-width climbing holds to climbing gyms all over the world, right?
Okay.
They become famous. They do, they get on podcasts and shows and YouTube channels and all this stuff with ways you can make a living these days, right? Because they're following their
Okay.
passion. But what I was so inspired by was just like their drive, their tenacity, their willingness to just train, right? To do something that's not in their area, and that's kind of what I do here. We're from the Midwest. There's no mountains in Wisconsin, you know, and that's why I gotta think of like how can I prepare myself for 23,000 feet of altitude inside my gym at 700 feet of altitude, you know.
Mhm.
Um, how can I get my body ready? How can I train like my mitochondria to produce more ATP, just be more effective, stronger? more energy producing? How do I train my lungs through different like breath holding drills or deep breathing drills? Um, and how do I control my breath when I'm training and when I'm nervous? I'm thinking about all these things, and it's always interesting when I go to these places and or people will say, Derek, I don't need your training program. I live in Colorado. I'm in the mountains all the time. I'm like, yeah, but are you tracking like how heavy of a pack you're using, how many steps per minute you're taking, what your heart rate is, like where's your lactate threshold? Like these are all
For sure.
parameters that I can control and slightly change in my program little by little to progress. And you're out there like you don't know any of these parameters, and so it'd be like walking into the gym and having no idea what you're gonna do. Like, oh, today I'll use the treadmill, and then tomorrow I'm gonna like do some squats, and the next day I'm gonna, you have no idea, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah.
I end up going to these places and wind up often being in better shape than them. And it's because it's like, well, training program, and
Well, they're
I'm just
guessing.
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, taking that,
Guessing
condensed it,
to
throw,
get your training is never a good take.
yeah, like no programming.
What
Well,
what do
and
you
sometimes
do?
that can be fun,
I did have a I
but
did have a question I didn't want to miss because
yeah.
you did kind of hit on a little bit like, I don't really train for that or I don't. What is your average day like? How do you when somebody asks, how do you stay in such shape? Are you on a say you don't have a climb, prepared in your schedule and it's just a regular day? What do you find yourself doing for fit on the fitness side?
Boy, man, if I don't have something on the training plan, typically like it's just off season for me, which I always tell people like everybody has an off season. You can't be in season all the time. And so sometimes it's like rest, go play in the yard with the kids, go run track practice with my track athletes. Sometimes I'll jump in like a fitness class at a gym somewhere, just have fun,
But you don't
and
go. You're not one of these guys that goes like, "Hey, it's 5 a.m. I'm going to go to the gym and lift weights, and then I'm going to do cardio." I don't see you doing that type of stuff.
no, I'll like, sometimes
Unorthodox, just everything.
I'll let myself have downtime, and and I don't know if you experienced this when you guys got back from the Grand Canyon, but oftentimes when you train for something, a massive event, and then you do that massive event, and then the massive event's over, there's this kind of like big empty space that
Mhm.
they've compared it to like postpartum syndrome with women when they have a
Sure.
baby,
Okay.
and then all of a sudden like, well, this is no longer a part of me. It's been a part of my life for 9 months, and now it's gone. Now it's outside. I mean, there's just
Yeah.
this weirdness, right? So I think it's really important to process through that, either through journaling, or that's where you might see me jump on Facebook or social media a little bit more and make some posts, or
Oh, there you
just
go.
have
Yep.
downtime and be okay. Like, be okay. Give yourself some grace and have an off season and gain a little bit
It's
of
a
weight.
push.
Who cares?
There's a
Like,
kind of the
uh,
philosophy of pushing and pulling. You can't always push.
yeah, yeah,
You got to know when to pull, and there's I feel like there's truth to that. There's not a one size fits all program that a human being doesn't has to do, and burn the candle at both ends, instead of
yeah.
listening to their body, like what you're doing.
Mhm. Yeah,
And I
and
just
then
think
like you said, you got to know when to push. And so like sometimes I have to get myself out of that. Like I'll sit and think like, oh man, it's been like 2 months and I haven't done jack squat, right? Like I better get back on something, right? And so
okay,
uh, so then it's like, okay, get a goal on the calendar. What do you think you can do? And whether that's a trip with a client, to go do something. And I always want to make sure if I'm taking people, I'm more than capable, beyond the ability to like do it. Like I always feel like if I go to do something, I should be able to do it twice. And so it's like, okay, time to start training again. And I'll start training with just some base level strength, just like, I just got to get moving again, and just get in the gym and, hit squats and Turkish get ups and, basic strength exercises and um, real simple push,
you
pull,
know,
hinge, lunge, like it, carry,
okay,
core, and then I'll start to get into more and more specific as I get closer, for sure.
okay.
So yeah, right now for
Taking
like,
that taking
go
that
ahead.
2 months off, just to jump in super quick. That's not something that most of our clients, and just to shoot you straight, and this, but that they couldn't imagine taking 2 months off because it's
Yeah.
just not. that's not where they're at mentally, and that's always scary to me that somebody would always need a challenge in front of them and they couldn't afford to ever take a month or two off and just like do stuff like you said to play around the house with the kids or whatever else. They couldn't do it because their poor nutrition accountability
Mhm.
and discipline would get the best of them.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
that's interesting to hear that.
I can see how that could happen though. It's even as an athlete, but sometimes I have to rebuild back habits. I'm like, wow, I've been sedentary for a little bit. I gotta like time to build back habits, time to get back at it. But I do get obsessive a little bit, when I get after things. Just because I have a goal and um, I just want to achieve it. Like nobody wants to fall short of their goals. Like that's not fun. Like I don't want to say it's a waste of time. Sometimes you go for strive for something and maybe you miss it, but at least you gave it your best, right?
Mhm.
Nobody wants to like miss a goal and say, well, you know what, I didn't really try that hard. Like, why did you even set the goal in the first place? I unless I didn't try that hard, that's your excuse for not achieving your goal. You're not really trying,
I hear a lot of that.
But yeah, and then that's different though, Hans, too. Like just training for everyday fitness, just to be healthy. I I I love it. The camaraderie and training and going to the gym, and you don't necessarily have to be on a program as long as you're not you know crushing the same body part you did yesterday. Like
I think you still got to know what you're doing there.
yeah,
Like you're saying, you gotta have a why.
yeah,
Otherwise, if you're not setting goals, what we see is people are like, it started maybe as weight loss, and
yeah,
but if they weren't, you know, set on that goal. They didn't set
yeah,
anything in concrete, and they just after a while they start saying, "What am I doing this for? What am I doing? What? Why did I do
yeah,
this again?"
yeah. Well,
Because there
yeah, and
wasn't a goal,
that's
like you're saying.
That's why I really did coming up with Adventure Fit is I started seeing people, in the fitness industry. When you start out, you're like, okay, weight loss is the goal, but then why were they overweight in the first place? Because they didn't have necessarily the habits, the drive, the desire that fit people do, right? And I started noticing this, like when I ask my fit friends, what are they doing this weekend? They're like, oh, I'm gonna go hike this mountain and ski down. I'm signed up for this triathlon. I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go water skiing. I'm gonna all this activity. And then you ask kind of like the general pop, like, hey, what are you doing this weekend? They're like, oh, we're going to go to the Packer game. We're going to grill out
Yep,
beforehand and drink 6 beers, and it's just like, that's a different
that's
lifestyle,
the
right?
difference.
And so
That's the
they're,
difference.
they're like, hey, I want to get fit. I want to lose weight, and so they start going to the gym and that becomes the habit and it's fun and it's enticing. But then you get there and you're like, you never set the intention to do the things that fit people do. Like
Lifestyle.
we don't go to the gym to get in shape to be better at going to the gym.
Mhm.
Like we go to the gym to get in shape to do shit that we love to do.
Yeah.
And I love to mountain climb, and I'll tell you, if I'm 25 pounds overweight, mountain climbing sucks. Honestly, like I'm looking to drop 6 more pounds for my next climb. I'm going to be hanging off like the thinnest parts of my fingertips. Like 6 pounds of extra weight on me sucks. And so like I'm pretty particular about my body weight right now. Um, and because I have that goal, right? That's kind of my motivation and my drive. Um, and so Adventure Fit, I started that because I was like, I think when people go do an outdoor adventure, whether it's hiking Grand Canyon rim to rim, or it's hiking a mountain, or it's going to Patagonia and doing the W Trail, or even just hiking around Devil's Lake, Wisconsin, or run a marathon, whatever you do, like it's more fun if you're in better shape for that. And then
Yeah.
when you go out
Great
and you
point.
have that really good experience, like, wow, this is such a good time. Like this world is such an amazing place. I want to go explore more. Well, guess what? You're never going to gain 50 pounds back because you want to go explore more. Right. And so you get back to the gym with that intention of like, I'm keeping this 50 pounds off because man, that next track through, Montana is going to be awesome.
Well, then people start to actually live their life instead of, there's a lot of spectators, and I'm seeing more and more, as obesity climbs,
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
there's less participants
Mm,
and just more spectators.
yeah.
There's more people watching rock climbers, mountain
Yeah.
climbers, and they're just observing.
Yeah.
And if they got the weight off and they started moving and they realized they could enjoy life too as a participant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And maybe part of the danger of social media and just, like YouTube, just sitting watching everybody else do it. I remember my kids when they were
Black
little,
hole.
they'd watch YouTube, they'd look at YouTube and watch other people play video games. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're
That's the
watching
thing. Yeah.
someone else play a video game? Like, what, don't you want to like play the game yourself? Like, what? You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, yeah,
Those guys, okay, but just one thing, knowing how that works, like on was it Twitch or whatever. Those guys that are playing on YouTube, big bucks. So if they're that level, of gaming that you have an audience, they did something, and that's in their wheelhouse. That's what
it is.
that's what they found. They're doing what they love to do for sure, no doubt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I actually do have a fun story about this if we still have a minute.
Yeah,
We
of
could
course.
probably talk forever, I'm sure. My
Yeah, I
son,
love
dude,
it. I was really
I'm
looking forward
excited.
to this.
I'm excited for my son this year. So when he was little, he wanted to play Minecraft, right? And the zombies kept killing him. So of course, what does he do? He watches YouTube and learns,
Cheat
right, from
codes,
these guys that
yeah.
are good at it, and he starts to practice and play and get better, right? So he doesn't want to run track because he sees like I think probably because he sees all the accolades his dad has, right? And he
Oh,
just maybe doesn't want to like step into those shoes.
I can see
Um,
that.
'Cause maybe he's not good enough, right? I don't know. This is just me thinking
Yeah,
out what I thought he was maybe
of
internalizing,
course.
right? So he's going to play baseball, right? Which is fine, except like, dude, I had like my dad was a great baseball player, but like that talent skipped me for sure. Like I just hand-eye coordination, balls, like I didn't go well. So he's in like a rec league baseball where everybody plays, but he rides the bench. You know what I mean? Like he's not that good. And and he's like all upset. And I said, buddy, well, how did you get good at Minecraft? And he's like, I watched videos and I practiced and I played a lot. And I'm like, what do you think you got to do here?
Mhm.
And so he sat down with my dad and they would just watch YouTube videos on hitting and throwing. And then he'd go outside into my gym and he'd hit and throw in the cage and he'd take like 500 swings a night. I
Wow.
mean, the kid was going through batting gloves like crazy. He
Yeah,
was
that's a good
not
sign.
ripping through batting gloves. He was ripping through his shoes, Hans, like because he'd pivot so many times
Yeah,
on
yeah,
his shoe,
yeah.
he'd rip through his shoes. And so like later, like I think maybe a year and a half later, he started playing pretty good. And so he decides to join this fall team. And I'm like, okay, yeah, plays fall ball, played pretty well. The next year, he's like, hey, dad, I want to do this like higher level league. It's like 14, 15, and 16-year-olds, and he's 14. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, bud, I know you just got good, right? Like, and you're good for rec league, right? Now, and this is a big step. I was
Yeah,
trying
but
to like
how's that conversation? It's
I was trying to prepare him to step into like it's okay if you're riding the bench again. Like you are getting
okay.
better. Don't get frustrated. Keep practicing. Keep doing
Mhm,
what you're doing. You've gotten so much better. Just keep going, right?
mhm.
And but you're the youngest on the team, and you're just getting into this kind of boy, Hans. If that kid just didn't keep training his ass off, and he ended up batting in the 4 slot, hit a home run on a
Clean
high
up.
school diamond over the fence in a game, batted 611 on the season. 611 on the season. And I was like, holy cow, we got a baseball player, right? We got a
Wow.
baseball player. So he he comes up to me, he's like, Dad, this is our last year of running track because next year's track and baseball conflict with each other.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, I think I just want to run track with some of my friends. I'm like, okay, cool. Well, he'd come to track practice, and I'm a track coach here, so at a local high school here, and so I just kind of ignored him. He was like on the middle school team, and he's a baseball player. I'm not going to really pay attention. He's my kid, and let him run and stuff. The little shit qualifies for nationals in 400 meters, and he
That's
comes
a
up to me, he's
sprint,
like
400-meter sprint.
one lap around the track.
Yeah.
Yep, lap around the track. And he's like, Dad, this is like the first thing I've been naturally good at. Like normally I'm bad and I have to practice really hard, train really hard. He's like, what if what if I'm already this good at track, and what if I train as hard as I train in baseball and Minecraft? What if I train that hard at track?
He asked you that.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah,
I love it. He
yeah,
wanted to know, what do you think? Give me the answer.
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know. Like, I think
Yeah,
baseball
you're
is
gonna be
probably more of a
phenomenal.
skill sport, but I mean, you can train really hard. And he is so. And I guess I got on this talk because I was talking about being obsessive a little bit.
Right.
And I think I don't know. Sometimes when in parenting, we have a saying, "More is caught than taught." Right? Sometimes like they're watching you, and I think maybe he sees my obsessiveness sometimes, and he's got maybe a little obsessive. He was doing bad in history class, and I'm like, dude, like you you gotta pass world history to run track, right? Like, focus. I realize it's not, you don't feel like it's that important to you,
No.
but like you still have to pass to run track. And he's like, yeah, he's like, Dad, like kids, obviously world history, that's going to be important for them. But like, is anybody else thinking about how to strengthen their feet in the middle of class? Probably not, dude.
That is awesome. That had to
Oh,
make you, and it from a parenting perspective, you didn't have to push.
he wants it
It
pretty bad.
happened.
Yeah, yeah, he wants it pretty bad. So yeah, I'm excited for him. I mean,
To
he's
be
16
to
years old
be
now.
how old? 16?
Now, yeah, he's running faster than I ran when I was 18 already in January.
No kidding?
Yeah, I think by the end of the season, he'll be running faster than I was at age 19 as a freshman in college, and he's a sophomore in high school.
Oh, that's incredible. That's
Yeah,
going to be fun to watch.
will be. Yeah, yeah, I'm excited for him.
Well, in obsessing, we're in a society that, probably frowns on that, I would say, for the most part, of obsessing with anything. But, to be at the level that the level that it sounds like he wants to be,
Hmm.
you have to obsess in something, and that has to be the number one priority over everything. And you
Hmm.
have to be thinking about how to strengthen your feet in world history class to
Yeah,
be at the
yeah,
level that he truly, but not everybody does. So they don't obsess, and they can be average and still have some fun. But
sure.
it sounds like he's the kid that isn't going to be happy with above average necessarily. He needs to be at the top. And then
Yeah,
in that case, those folks need to obsess,
yeah,
and it's okay.
yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, you listen to NFL quarterbacks talk. Just listen to them talk. Like if you ever like
Oh,
really get into like how what's their mind,
they're hard to get along with.
dude, they're machines.
They're
They're programmed
they
their
have well
brain to be
they
a machine.
family life suffers. Everything suffers. Christmas, sometimes they're not coming to Christmas. Because they're in the coach's office watching tape, and
Hmm.
they're obsessed. And all of the
Hmm.
good ones are,
Yeah,
as far as football coaches and any coach.
yeah, yeah. No, I mean, if you want to be great, like there it is for you. You can choose to take it or not. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. There's a bunch of thoughts that came up with that, but they're in and out. So
Well, dude, I'd hope to jump on again with you and talk more about your son after track season
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
anything
I would
along
love
the
to. Yeah,
way. This has been great catching up.
for sure. Yeah, no, it will be exciting to watch him. The athletic director came up to him the other day, and they're like, "So, Seamus, do you want to be like the best athlete in the school?" And he's like, "In the school?" Like it was almost an insult. Like in the
Oh,
school, and
that's
he's
the way he
and
took it.
and
Sure.
yeah, yeah, and the athletic director's like, "Well, what do you want to be a state
He's like, I
champion, or what do
already
you do?
am.
You want to be a state champion?" And he's like, "A state champion?"
I want
He's
to go to
like,
the Olympics.
"I." He goes, "I want to be an All-American. I want to see if I can make the Olympic trials my senior year of high school." Like
Wow.
he's like, those things are just going to happen along the way, right? Like just
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he is going to be
Well,
super fun.
with that, I mean, yeah. Why shoot? Shoot for the. I don't know what the saying.
Shoot for the
Shoot
stars so
for
if
the
you hit the
moon, or
moon.
and
Yeah,
land on the
yeah,
sun.
yeah.
Or land on the moon.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
I got it.
Yeah,
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 I'm really
that's
great
it.
at those. Can't you tell? But
Yeah,
how are you gonna? He's he doesn't have room to fall short. His mind's there, and he's going to be held back by even who was this guy? Was this a guidance counselor? Who is the athletic director?
He's a great guy.
But these people, he's going to run into people. What I would say to him is that you're going to run into more and more of that, and even probably on a more harsh level. He's going, because he is succeeding in the first thing that people tend to do as human beings is pull somebody back from success.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
usually for their own insecurities or whatever, their son or daughter's insecurities, their parenting insecurities.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No doubt.
And that's going to be something that he's probably already dealing with, even on that level. That guy didn't mean any harm by that.
No, not at all. He was like, Seamus, he was kind of coming at it like, Seamus, you're like looking like you're really coming along. You know, since 8th grade to today, you totally transferred. You're doing great. What are you going to be the best athlete in the school and you're going to be a state champ? And Seamus was like, he was so past that already. You know, it came as a shock to him. But yeah, I mean, you see that in the fitness industry all the time. You know, it's like, and somebody told me one time, you know, Derek, don't be frustrated, be fascinated. Number one, don't be frustrated, be fascinated. When people say stuff that degrades or demoralizes or just like isn't down the road you're going, just kind of be curious as to why they got there, how they came upon that thought, you know, and I thought that was an interesting thing.
It is.
But then focus on the people that do, not the people that don't, you know? And that's so easy to do, especially when you run like the type of fitness gyms that you do. You know, thousands of people come through the door, but what makes the business run, man? If you got 100 to 300 members, you're crushing it, right?
That's the number. That's the number.
You can get so hung up on the 2,900 people that didn't, that you forget to be excited, passionate, happy for the 100 people that are there, keeping your doors open, you know, and putting food on your table and paying for your house, you know.
Absolutely.
And it's like, and the 100 people that do, they're so grateful, you know, and for the 2,900 that don't, you know, something else is right for them. And maybe there's somewhere else and good. That's great. Right. It's like, not everything is for everybody, but, you know, focus on the people that do, not the people that don't. That's always like that's been a tough, slow lesson for me, for sure. And something I probably still work on. Yeah.
Well, I think we learned a lot of lessons today, and good luck on your next ventures. I'm going to look up Pig Hill, and I want to see if there's if they can justify what that looks like on any type of photo online or anything.
Yeah.
Cool as hell name, and that's a son of a bitch the way it sounded.
Yeah, no doubt.
If Derek Toshner's not looking up, and he's just one foot in front of the other grinding, that means something. I'm intrigued.
Oh yeah,
I'm interested.
Dude, like, I mean, part of the training was like I would do 3 hours of step ups, and I would I'd put a backpack on, 40-pound backpack. I'd take a rubber band, I'd put it around my waist, I'd pull it to the side to simulate a sled pulling me downhill.
Resistance.
And then I would do step ups. I'd do 19 step ups a minute for 12 minutes on, 3 minutes off. And I'd go for 3 hours straight. And people were like, dude, 3 hours straight. And I'm like, I mean, that's nothing, right? Compared to what I'm about to do, right? And part of the training was just boredom and monotony. You know, you're in your head visualizing the climb, visualizing what you're going to do, you know, daydreaming about it, like, you know, doing mental imagery about being there, that when you're finally there in the moment, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Day 21, only another hour and a half, 2 hours of step ups to go.
And that was worst case scenario.
Here we go. Yeah.
Finished up the 24 days and digging. I mean, that says something, just to recap. A part of where you're at in life, where you're digging up months old. You heard that somebody built, you know, buried some cinnamon rolls. That's rock bottom. In an awesome way.
They were pretty well preserved. Little frostbite, little frost nip on them.
That's the good news.
Freezer burn.
Yeah, I'll take it. Well, awesome catching up with you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time. I know how
Glad to
busy
get
you
on.
are
It's
and how
fun.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff. Let's stay in touch.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you.
Peace, brother.
Yeah.
Talk soon.